brethren to be baptized, purified, sanctified in the blood and the word all over again. Robert drilled holes in his door to the same pattern as in the saddle tree, then laced the saddle horn to the door just as it had been laced into the saddle. Each time Robert Johnson entered or left his cabin, he would touch the saddle horn, talisman, and touchstone. What, he wondered, would he find beyond his world of ghosts? Jo Benson, she of the golden hair and freckled skin, as determined as Robert to move herself beyond her birth, found him. Like Robert's, her mother was gone. Robert's went to reward, Jo's to punishment, if the village whisperers were to be believed. Jo lived in a dungeon of dangerous men. Her father, trouble. Her brothers, people called them outlaw, and conjecture was not often far from truth in Tennessee. The Bensons cared well for their horseflesh, less so their humankind. Early spring, just as the days warmed, he glimpsed Jo Benson in the trees along the path to the creek. Having yet to dig a well, he fetched water from the creek that ran between his property and her father's. One morning, the bucket on his porch was full. The next morning, he rose early. She carried the heavy bucket with both hands clutching the rope handle, her face a grimace of effort. She heaved the bucket onto the porch with a thud, water sloshing, then rocking back and forth, trying to find its level. By the time he put on his pants, she was running away, feet bare, dress flouncing. Some days she watched him at work cutting timber for what would be a large barn. Some days he crossed the creek to approach her house close as he could, to catch a glimpse of her life. She dug in the garden, readying the soil for seed. She fed chickens, collected eggs, dragged clothes across a washboard with furious effort. She hung up the clothes, especially her dresses, with great care. Just as she did, he always made sure she knew he was there. He picked the earliest wildflowers to leave on his porch. The bucket was full, the flowers gone the next morning. When she left a handkerchief on the line, he took it home and placed it in his window. One morning he waited behind the cabin. When the bucket thumped on the porch, he showed himself. "Can we talk?" he asked. She shook her head. "You can speak, can't you?" he asked. She blushed in the early light. "Pa says I mustn't. Manny and Randolph, too. They don't like you." She backed away. "Do you like me?" Robert sat on the porch. She stopped. "They don't like me to think for myself." "My mama always liked you," said Robert. "She wished she could look out for you, back when we'd see you in town." "I was just a girl," said Jo. "Now I'm a woman, 16. "You still look like a girl to me," said Robert. She put her hands on her hips, held her head back. "I can carry water. I can sew. I can churn cream to butter. I can do what any woman can do." Robert blushed, then, his thoughts racing to what he might do with a woman. "We've been trading favors," he remarked. She crossed her arms over her chest. "Water, flowers, and so on. I've been watching you." "I've watched you," she said, her arms relaxing. "You aren't like some men. You care for things. Your cabin, your horses, your land. I like a man who cares for things." "I could care for you," Robert said. He stepped toward her. "Pa will wonder where I am," Jo said, and ran away. Next morning, when he went for water, a soft singing rose from the creek. He silenced his boots in the brush. Jo was in the creek, at a deep place where sometimes he noodled for fish on the shady side of the bank. She was neck deep in the